So, Chris, what's so what's your association with Fitzroy?
With Fitzroy?
What's the link with it?
Well, I first moved in here to live maybe about sort of 12 or so years ago.
Yeah.
And lived here for 7 or 8 years, something like that. And then, sort of got forced out by kind of rent increases.
Yeah.
But continue to hang out here and work here and sort of involved in projects here.
Yeah. Okay.
So still, yeah.
And where did you grew up in Melbourne?
Yeah, grew up in like eastern suburbs.
Yeah.
And and then sort of came into sort of Fitzroy and sort of stayed and kind of went to Northcote after that. Then went to Brunswick. Yeah, that's where I'm at now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And so why do you think you initially moved from the eastern suburbs into Fitzroy?
Well, Fitzroy did pose back in the kind of late 80s. It did pose as a kind of fun place to be,
yeah,
sort of thing. And so yeah, we sort of hanging out here for a while before we lived here, and it was just a sort of shot in the arm compared to life in the eastern suburbs. So yeah, I was quite happy to come over here back then, and things were quite cheap, and I found things were really sort of interesting and sort of exciting back then. Whereas now, well, I could imagine for some starry-eyed youngster it'd be kind of exciting, but I think I'm being excited by everything that's been to excite you by in Fitzroy. But I think it's losing a lot of its what seems to have lost a lot of its sort of ethnic diversity.
Yeah.
And I find like Brunswick now is good. Like it has a broad ethnic diversity. Plus, a lot of my friends are kind of living there too. So
yeah.
It sort of brings in the whitey factor.
So you live in Brunswick now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I think you could almost.
So why do you reckon Fitzroy's lost its ethnic character, or is losing it?
Oh, I think that just real estate prices have gone crazy around here. I mean, some people are still living here, still holding out, and whenever they sell, they're just gonna, sit back and go, with the cash.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people, when real estate started getting so crazy, they sold up and took the money and ran, sort of thing. But I mean, even Brunswick's sort of heading that way, even though it's nothing like this. The thing about Fitzroy is because it's so small, that makes it so special. It's one of the smallest suburbs in Australia, I think, definitely, at least. And that brings everything really close together without people actually living, well, some places people live on top of each other, but, a lot of it's sort of that terrace housing.
So you see the rise of real estate property values as the biggest threat to Fitzroy, culturally?
Yeah, I think it's
a little bit more homogenous.
Yeah, it does, because only a certain sort of bracket of population can afford to live here. Well, can afford to buy houses recently here.
Yeah.
And therefore sometimes renting properties, time to head inside. Taking in the orange chair, here we go. It was raining like a motherfucker, we had to look inside.
So, Chris, do you think I'll sit down here. Do you think that there's something unique about Fitzroy as opposed to other parts of Melbourne or other parts of Australia you've seen?
Yeah, I think it has over its time, attracted a certain a certain type of people, as opposed to other suburbs which attract their certain type of people, and henceforth has, you know, given rise to certain types of activities and venues which are unique to Fitzroy, kind of thing. Yeah.
So that uniqueness perhaps circulates around a diversity or a tolerance or something like that?
So far, yeah. I mean, like, I think you've got the factor of a lot of people who move into Fitzroy and then complain about that. Like, we'll move in next to a bar or something,
Yeah.
and we'll then complain about the noise, and it's like, but you know, the bar was here first, and you knew that it was a bar and it made noise.
Yeah.
So there's that sort of like phenomenon that's sort of, well, I think it's a lot more prominent now. And, but I do think, yeah, because, you know, it does have a lot of people from the sort of, like a good cross-section from the social strata system kind of thing. And I do think people have been, you know, pretty tolerant so far. You know, you don't really sort of, there's not a lot of sort of nasty sort of issues going on in Fitzroy. It's all working pretty well, reasonably well, anyway. Yeah. I think, yeah, no, that's a good joint.
So is there any sort of like big pictures that you can that Fitzroy could be a metaphor for? Do you think? Is there any? You know?
Well, I don't think Fitzroy is necessarily, you know, part of a global trend.
Yeah.
As such. Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe, you know, you could sort of lump parts of Manhattan in there in terms of, you know, small space, like a sort of high concentration of people living there.
Yeah.
And a certain type, you know, well, a tolerant sort of group of people living together.
Yeah.
And I think the whole kind of like village atmosphere that's created is good, in that not a lot of chains. There are a few chains in Fitzroy, as in chain stores, but not a lot of chains work, which is a good thing. I think it's a great thing. And there's definitely no malls, nothing sort of like of that phenomenon.
Yeah.
And I think that's not necessarily the way the world's going. I mean, you'd like to think it is, but I'm not sure if it is the way the world's going. But that's definitely the way Fitzroy has been. And you know, it's always given rise to kind of good individualistic stores. You know, I remember when my auntie used to take me to Cafe Bohemio. I was sort of in North Fitzroy actually, but yeah, but yeah, like way back in the kind of mid '80s, and that was just you know, I don't think there was anything like it in Melbourne at all, and that was sort of very Fitzroy specific, and you know, of course, the Black Cat and stuff back in the day. But
so you see globalization in particular as like chain stores, and how that could you know, threaten sort of local diverse character.
Yeah, it kills diversity.
Yeah.
Globalization in that respect. I mean, and it homogenizes everything.
Yeah.
Especially in terms of, like, you know, the food you taste.
Yeah.
You lose the taste of food. However, I'd have to say that, like, the way we live, I think, or the way people are living in Fitzroy with, like, new development housing, I think that's a reflection of globalization as well. The sort of, you know, we're just squeezing the land for as much money as you can get out of it, kind of thing.
You mean this yuppie apartment?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, you got your kind of your warehouse space, and then there's all the apartment complexes, and like, you know, they're coming out in Brunswick, and it's like, you know, like, come on, you know, I mean, you can make an apartment only so nice, that you can only spend so much money on. I mean, it's like, I don't understand how they're charging so much money for them, but, you know, they do, and people buy them, whatever, they can if they want.
Yeah.
But, so, they do seem to be springing up, like, not just in Fitzroy, but in the city, and, like, I was saying Brunswick, it's scary. They're taking over the world.
And what do you think, the sort of the new apartment dwellers, why do you think they moved to the inner city or areas like Brunswick or Fitzroy?
Well, I think, I don't understand the Brunswick. But Fitzroy, it's like, because Fitzroy's got the image that it swings kind of thing, and I think it's sort of tamed down a lot in the last sort of couple of years, it seems.
Yeah.
And it seems a bit more safer for those people to move in, and you get your kind of your cafe culture on one hand, but well, for instance, the sort of heroin problem has been cleaned up, and that was like amazing to live through, actually.
Yeah.
But cats and dogs. But it was like, it was quite like, because I wasn't living here. I was living here for a couple of years during it, but I was working on Smith Street for 4 or 5 years during the sort of the heyday.
Yeah.
And just seeing what people are capable of and what they'll get up to, it was like bizarre.
Yeah.
But so I think with the attraction of those apartment buildings, people really tend to package up an area, and they've really tried to package Fitzroy up, and mainly I suppose it's a cafe culture that people are buying into, because it's not as if those people are going to be going down to the Punters Club. Well, it's not for long anyway, because it's closed as of next year.
So where do you think the cafe culture comes from, or
well,
who do you think sort of built it up? Or?
Well, the word was that the Italian migrants who started things, or started the strip in Lygon Street, and brought cappuccino to Australia, and well, you'd presume that it was certain, maybe I don't know about Pellegrini's or whatever, but certain cafes with their espresso machines, really turned Melburnians on. And it's from that sort of thing has grown into this sort of monster.
Yeah.
And I mean, there are worse things in the world than the cafe culture. At least everyone is being mellow about things.
Yeah.
So
do you think, what about a Starbucks on Brunswick Street? Can you see that in the future? No, I'd like to think not. Yeah.
Well, they're opening up in the city now, so it would be ugly. One other thing about Fitzroy and globalisation is there seems to be a lot of people there around Fitzroy who are aware of it, and especially writing a lot of graffiti around about globalisation, and I think it's good in terms of even if you don't care about it, it'll just at least make you sort of think about it.
Yeah.
By seeing it as you pass by.
Yeah.
Which is good.
So I suppose it's sort of there is a political culture in Fitzroy as well. Or?
Yeah, definitely a political culture, and I think no, because I haven't lived here in the last sort of 5 years or so.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how strong it is now, but it appears kind of strong. Yeah. Just I don't know. Although I don't know, everything seems weird, sort of post September the 11th as well.
Yeah.
I think everything's had a shine taken off it, and everyone's view of the world is now like, whatever you believe. I think it has changed, and So I think, yeah,
Yeah.
So the kind of like hedonistic days of Fitzroy, I think, are, well, at the moment. Yeah.
People are buckling down a bit.
Yeah, spending more time at home, kind of thing. It's weird.
Yeah.
Although the bars are picking up again, but yeah, it's definitely noticed something.
Yeah.
And you know, people in the, like, are talking about, well, Americans especially find entertainment just sort of banal and offensive almost. And yeah, I think, I don't know, it's kind of weird.
So what you work in Fitzroy now, Chris?
Yeah, just DJing at a bar. That's the only work I've got going on at the moment. But that's funny because, like, it's a sort of trendy little bar on Smith and Gertrude, and at first, you know, I knew like 80% of the people coming there, because they were local people from the area.
Yeah.
And it was kind of alright bar.
Yeah.
And but now, you know, I'd be lucky to know more people than the fingers on my hand of the night. It's quite weird. But I don't know. Maybe they're from around here.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're weird. They're all good looking. I don't think there's good looking people in Fitzroy, so it can't be them. I don't know. But yeah, and I worked in the video store for a long time, and on Smith Street, and that was it was in Collingwood actually.
Yeah.
But that was a fun job, and it was good to meet and get to know, you know, a huge sort of slab of the population. So yeah, that was nice. And yes, also president. Oh no, I lie. Captain. From one captain to another, captain of the Napier cricket team too.
Yeah.
So I'll be leading the lads into battle yet again this year. It's funny because I don't drink.
Yeah.
But so I don't really have cause to hang out in the pub at all. But I stick my head in occasionally.
Yeah.
And cripple a nipple when I can. But yeah, still, you know, it's going to be a good season. Even if it's a bit wet.
So you think that like the pub culture and sport especially like contribute to the formation of the local character?
I think that's quite good because it's a sort of definitely it's a type of Fitzroy people that get into that. Like definitely people who like to hang out and sit at a pub kind of thing really get into it, which is different, you know, from your sort of like ferally type crew. But yeah, like that group of people, I think it's good. The good thing about Fitzroy is, you know, A, because it's so small, B, because there's so many pubs in here, like, but pretty much all the barflies know each other, so the competition is it's really friendly and good natured, and well, footy competition isn't so good natured, but yeah, it's quite fun, you know. And I think people look forward to it too. Well, I certainly do.
Yeah.
It's good to sort of have a run around occasionally. But yeah.
And do you think Brisbane Lions winning was a big
Yeah, it seems
victory?
It seemed quite good actually. I remember driving past the Napier that night, and that was just people pouring out of it, and the Brunswick Street Oval the next morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny, but a lot of the hardcore kind of old Fitzroy nanas, I think, I don't know if they jumped the bandwagon.
Yeah.
But still, yeah, no, I think it's a good thing. It's like, you know, it's good for the Napier anyway. But yeah, I also just recently did made a hip hop CD at the Fitzroy Library.
Yeah.
So got a group of kids together. We sort of formed the Fitzroy Library Music School.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, I was a music teacher, not being able to play a musical instrument. So that was really good and really positive, and that drew in people actually not from Fitzroy, because we put the work. I mean, you know, maybe we didn't push hard enough. But yeah, so we got people from all around sort of Northcote and Thornbury and stuff to be a part of it, and that was really good. I mean, those kids loved the opportunity to be able to record, so we recorded a CD and did some graphics on it. Yeah, and they really liked that, so I'd be interested to see if we can keep that ball rolling. But because Fitzroy Library got some money for a festival this year, and they had all sorts of things going. But it got young people into the library at least. And
where were the kids from mostly?
Mostly they were like a crew from Northcote.
Yeah.
They were a young sort of 20-year-old, roughly, sort of hip hop crew already. So I was expecting less sort of experienced musicians, but they were good.
Okay, I think
We'll wrap this baby.
We'll wrap it. Okay.
Right on.
Thanks, Chris.
Always a pleasure.